A hand reaches toward it, slow and unsure, before anyone's decided if this is a mistake. It doesn't move. Mouth open, teeth bared, a thread of drool hanging off its jaw. Every nerve in that hand says stop. This is dangerous, but the hand keeps closing the gap because what's actually in front of it isn't a threat. It's been running interference on one for months and nobody noticed. And the threat it's protecting you from was never in some far-off jungle. It's already living in the grass, a few feet from that hand, right now. Something small enough that nobody standing here has ever actually seen it arrive. There's a number about this animal that sounds made up, that one of them alone can wipe out thousands of these threats in a single season. The light's almost gone now, and there's a real chance one already crossed this yard tonight. This is an opossum. In Mexico and across Central America, it's also called tlacuache, the exact animal that hand was reaching toward. The threat it's protecting that yard from is ticks. Anyone who's ever walked barefoot across a lawn or let a kid or a dog play out back has already had contact with them. Ticks carry Lyme disease, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and a handful of other infections that are anything but minor. In the U.S. alone, a study funded by the CDC put the number at roughly 476,000 people diagnosed and treated for Lyme every single year, and that number keeps climbing because warmer winters let more ticks survive into spring, and their range keeps expanding season after season. So what's the single most effective free defense against a threat already living just outside the door? It's the exact animal that hand couldn't decide whether to touch. Here's where this gets more interesting than it first looks. In 2009, a team at the Cary Institute of Ecosystem Studies in New York put ticks on captive opossums to see what happened. The result was decisive. More than 95% of the ticks that tried to feed died during grooming, caught in the animal's own cleaning process. That first part holds up, but the number that actually went viral, thousands of ticks a week, turns out to be the lead researcher's own extrapolation about ticks per season, not per week. And even that count was never fully settled. In 2021, a separate team checked the stomach contents of 32 wild opossums, looking for any trace of ticks. They found none. That doesn't undo the original finding. It means that in captivity, an opossum eliminates almost every tick that attaches to it. But exactly how much of that it actually swallows versus how much just falls off in the wild is still an open question. What both studies confirm together, though, once a tick latches onto an opossum, its odds of surviving long enough to find another host drop close to zero. Now, the oldest fear of all, rabies. This might be the most widespread misunderstanding about the opossum, and it's close to the exact opposite of reality. Its body temperature runs unusually low for a mammal, somewhere between 93 and 97 degrees Fahrenheit, several degrees below most animals its size. The rabies virus needs higher temperatures to replicate efficiently. That doesn't make it immune. Documented cases exist, though they're extremely rare, but it does put the opossum among the North American wild mammals least likely to actually carry or spread the virus, well below bats, raccoons, skunks, or foxes. The animal most people fear might give them rabies turns out to be one of the least likely wild mammals in North America to ever carry it. And that whole display that scares people so badly, the open mouth, the drool, the hiss, the swaying, was never an attack. It's pure fear. The opossum doesn't want to fight, it wants to be left alone, and that display is how it asks. When even that doesn't work, something happens that it has no control over at all. Its nervous system drops into an involuntary catatonic state. The body collapses, the muscles lock rigid, breathing slows down, and glands release a secretion that smells foul. That state can last anywhere from a few minutes to several hours. And the animal doesn't choose when it starts or when it ends. It isn't an act. It's the equivalent of fainting from extreme stress. And there's something else. The same opossum that smells terrible while playing dead is, the rest of the time, meticulously clean. It spends a huge part of its day grooming, and that exact obsessive habit is what makes it so efficient at stripping ticks, fleas, and mites off its own body. There's something about this animal most people never stop to consider. The opossum is the only marsupial native to North America, the same group that includes kangaroos, pouch, and all. Its pregnancy lasts just 12 to 13 days. Nothing else its size comes close. At birth, each joey is about the size of a bee, blind, hairless, barely formed, and it still has to crawl completely alone through its mother's fur until it finds the pouch. As many as 20 can be born at once, but the mother has only 13 teats available. The ones that don't make it in time don't survive. The ones that do stay attached for weeks, growing inside that pouch for 7 to 10 weeks straight. By the time they finally come out, they don't leave her. They climb onto her back instead, 6, 8, 10 tiny joeys riding her fur while she moves through yards exactly like this one at night, foraging, teaching them how to survive. The fact almost nobody knows about this animal goes a lot further than any backyard. Back in the 90s, a group of researchers isolated a protein in opossum blood capable of neutralizing snake venom. They called it lethal toxin neutralizing factor. A team at San Jose State University, led by researcher Claire Comeves, later synthesized a tiny fragment of that protein, just 11 amino acids, and tested it against the venom of the western diamondback rattlesnake. The result: it completely neutralized the venom in the exposed mice, while the mice that didn't get the compound died within hours. And there's more. Producing that molecule in bacteria could cost less than $1 per dose, compared to the $100 to $150 a commercial antivenom costs on the market today. Thousands of miles from any backyard, that same blood that smells like fear when you corner it is the foundation of a possible low-cost cure for the thousands of snakebite deaths that happen every year in places where antivenom is too expensive or simply never arrives. None of this is some recent coincidence. This animal's lineage has been on Earth for roughly 70 million years. It was here before the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs, and it was still here after. It has outlasted predators bigger, faster, and stronger than it is, without changing almost anything about what it actually is. It didn't manage that by fighting. It managed it by being exactly this: quiet, adaptable, and invisible to a world that has never stopped trying to get rid of it. It doesn't need anyone to defend it or to understand it. It's going to keep showing up in yards at night, no matter what the people who see it decide to do. But the next time a hand freezes halfway towards something, standing still at the edge of a yard, mouth open, not moving, maybe the question isn't whether that animal deserves to be there. Maybe the question is how many other quiet things nearby got written off as enemies without anyone ever actually checking.